question.
I told her, well, I could just not run.
You got 1, 2 is gonna be Michigan Works.
Okay.
So you wanna go 1,
Off mood and
4, 5, 6, or, well, 5 and 6 is just the regular, our regular
that was
stuff.
yesterday. I was there yesterday.
I had to be at bowling last
Yep,
night.
I'll do
That's
3.
what-
You want me to go up? Well,
That
how do you want to
I
do
took
2?
another
It's just gonna be a
that's
presentation.
week.
Oh, no, I'll do 2.
Physical sleep, like,
Oh, so that presentation is
Well,
earlier. I see that now.
I had to go home and change though. And I knew Mike was behind me, so I'm like,
Okay. You got
what did they say?
3 and I'll do 4. Jerry?
Did he recognize you?
Oh, yeah.
What did he say?
Your beautiful face.
Oh, dang it, this.
And it's recorded.
Oh, it's 5:30.
I'd like to call the work session of the Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Embry. Commissioner Jazinski. Commissioner Engler.
Here.
Commissioner Marino. Commissioner Sweeney. Commissioner Hope. All present, Mr. Chairman, except for Commissioner Marino.
Clerk, up next would be approval of the agenda. We'll start with general public comments. We'll have a presentation by James McBride, President and CEO of Middle Michigan Development Corporation. We have no appointments to boards or commissions. Brings us down to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Finance Administration Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And we don't have any criminal justice or in County Affairs Committee business this evening. Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee is all set. Mr. King.
We have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrator controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have general public comment again at the end of the meeting and then announcements and adjournment. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Jelazinski.
4th, Embry.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We have an agenda. Brings us to general public comments. Anyone for general public comment? Okay, seeing no one for general public comment, we'll dive right into the presentation by Jim McBride.
Me okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Pleasure to be here. Like to just walk through our 2022 annual report. There we go. And then just talk generally about a few things that are not included in this. This is typically a little later in the year than we like to get out and do the annual report. But as many of you know, we've had a number of meetings over at MMDC with all of you to cover other things. So, you know, I felt like we've been in pretty good communication through the year. But I just wanted to cover this here before we got to the end of the year. If you take a look on the inside front cover, this again, it would be last year. We had 161 company visits, 135 company assists. So these are specific things we were able to help companies that we call on, whether it's something dealing with the state of Michigan or a local issue. You know, we count that as an assist. The companies we called on invested over $45 million in their businesses and hired 744 new people in 2022. Now, that's a pretty big number. We were coming off of COVID, and so there was some hiring back, and that was a good thing. Grant funding in that year was $1.2 million. And that's been, in addition to what had happened in the prior 2 years, 2020 and 21, where we collectively were able to bring in over $6 million to the local area with the small business relief program, the survival program, and the restart program for COVID relief. And many of those grants were given to those companies before they were able to get their federal aid. And so it was a critical program that kept many of our businesses afloat, and really was also psychological that they were able to get that help from us, and it encouraged them to keep going. So, all told, over $6 million over a 3-year period. One of the things that I get called on to do from time to time is go down to Lansing and testify on economic development legislation that's for the good of the state. So I do that. And then another thing that I get called on to do is to represent the state sometimes with site selectors. And you can see the photo down there on that page, the group of us that went to New York to talk to site selectors about moving their businesses, the businesses they call on, consider new locations here in Michigan. And I often get called on to be, kind of represent the rural part of the state. So you would typically see representatives from Detroit and Lansing and Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo and Flint and other places there. But, the fact that we have that local rural representation with New York site selectors and was critical. And we did this year, we did one in Chicago and one in South Carolina. Katie Mora, the vice president, went to Chicago. I went to South Carolina this year, again, talking to site selectors from those areas and talking about Michigan. If you flip over pages 3 and 4, these are the areas that we focus on. And, I like to mention this from time to time because I think there's kind of a feeling out there that economic developers are primarily or almost totally focused on bringing businesses in. Well, there's some truth that we do that, but we really pay more attention to working with the businesses we already have. And let me give you an example. So when I first started here in 2015, Bandit was just a little over 300 employees, Bandit Industries, and they're now at about 800 employees. So they've had a net gain of almost 500 employees in the time since I've been here. So that's a huge increase. That's a business expansion. And I think, that is also important if we can have the businesses that we have already here expand and grow, and also protect them from leaving. Because if you look at the 5 top industrial or company employers in Isabella County, 4 out of 5 of them have been bought and sold within the time I've been here, and one of them twice. Oh. So every time something like that happens, there's always a danger that company, that the purchasing company could move them, especially to a southern state. And so we've had to fight that off, and we've been successful in all 5 cases. So, that's something that we do. We retain the businesses we have and expand them is, I believe, even more important than attraction of new stuff. And then also the companies that we call on tell us about the talent issues that they have. And so talent is something that we've gotten into. We normally in the past said, well, that's Michigan Works and they do talent. We don't address talent so much, but that's changed. And I'll get into that a little bit further in a moment. Community development is another key thing because companies want to locate in places where they can attract talent. And that's where the whole central place comes in, and making sure that our communities are an attractive place to live. Because if we can't have that, we're not going to keep our young people. We're not going to be able to retain the talent that we need to have for the company. So that's it. It all kind of goes together. You can see our our mission and vision statement on page 4. We grow the economy with services designed to retain, expand, and attract businesses in Clare, Gladwin, Isabella, and Osceola counties to foster economic vitality and resilience in our region. So you'll notice the 2 counties that have been added there, and up until late last year we were a 2-county operation, Isabella and Clare counties, but we had 2 counties approach us late last year, Osceola and Gladwin, and they asked to come under our umbrella and become part of our team and our system. And so we agreed to that, and they're both contracting with us for those services, and we've had to readjust our staffing to cover that. But there's a lot of synergy. These 2 new counties are very similar in many respects to us, and so we feel there's a lot of synergy. So we started in 1981. It was Isabella only until 1999 when Claire joined us, and then last year we added 2 more. If you flip over to 5 and 6, we do a focus article on Highland Plastics and Shepherd, and the renovation that and the new generation, because this was a situation where the company was passed from one generation to the next, and in the Simmons family, and that was done very successfully, and the company's continued to expand and employ more people. So I'll let you read that. It came through COVID, adjusted their product line. It's a great story, and net job increases for the area. And on pages 7 and 8, again, this is last year, but I mentioned working on sense of place and community development. The premier program that the MEDC has is called Match on Main, and that's a $25,000 grant that goes to a business that would be located in a downtown, and it's designed to help them with an expansion, add new services, upgrade their business. A $25,000 grant, and as you can see, we were able to leverage $200,000 in 2022, and also December of 21, and we had Ginkgo Tree in Mount Pleasant, Blue Gator Sports Pub and Grill in Mount Pleasant got those grants. Pure Vitality in Mount Pleasant, and Rebels Dive Bar in Mount Pleasant all got grants to upgrade their businesses and make them just a better business to attract customers. And the other thing I like to point out in that year with the $200,000, that represented 8.3% of the total Match on Main grants that were delivered statewide came to this area. So I figure that's not a bad showing in that particular program. The other thing I'll mention that we do is what we do that's a little different is that many of the municipalities across the state, they are the ones that have to apply for this program. We were approached initially by the city of Mount Pleasant, and they asked us to apply on their behalf because they know that we kind of know the MEDC well and know what they're looking for. So we've done that. So that's a lot of extra work we do that we don't get paid for because there's no admin in the Match on Main program. We don't get paid for that, but we do apply on behalf of the city and then all these other communities too. And so I think that's partly why we've been so successful is we kind of know what to do with that grant application and know what the MEDC is looking for. And we make sure that we keep delivering on that. And 23 was a great year too for that. And 24 will be again. If you look at pages 9 and 10, we had our first downtown pitch. On this one, we went out and raised the money. So this is not, this is money that we raised to create prizes for, those that were awarded this would be Green Tree Co-op Market and Sleepy Dog Books and Red Bloom Yoga all got major awards. They went to the theater and pitched these concepts, and we had judges, and the judges made the decision what the best pitch was. There was a second and third prize, and People's Choice Award as well. And the People's Choice was anybody who attended that downtown pitch was able to vote. And so that was just a great experience. First time we ever did it. And it was so popular. We're going to continue doing that. We did our second one at the Ideal Theater up in Clare after it had just been rehabbed. And we're going to continue doing this. And I'd like to get to a point where we could do 2 of these a year because it's just a great opportunity for entrepreneurs and people starting up new things to be able to have one more chance to win some money. But again, this was not state funded. This was something we went out, raised the money for this award. If you look at 11 and 12, this is the coming home, and I mentioned I was going to come back to this. That so when we look at how Michigan Works is structured, we wanted to work with them and enhance what they do, and so one of the things that we felt needed to be done was to address the seniors graduating from the engineering school, the business school at Central, people graduating from Mid-Michigan College who are looking for jobs and pretty much leaving the area after graduating, to try to get them to stay. So how do we do this? We do coming home we started it in 2019. We had 2 years where we had to do it online. We came back to it in 2022, and then we just had our fifth one in October of this year. But last year we were able to get 70 job seekers, and these are people coming back for homecoming, people that are graduating, and get them to meet with employers. We had 21 employers there, and that was just a great opportunity to make those connections, and many of those people were hired. So last year we had 70. This year we had 180. So this thing is just growing bigger and bigger every year. And President Davies now considers this to be like a regular part of homecoming weekend, and he helps us kick it off, and it was great. So this thing continues to grow bigger every year. Pages 13 and 14. So this is the RTIG training grant. Now this, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, and Nicole knows this, and Jerry knows this because he has been sitting in a number of our meetings, but this has been the single most challenging grant program we've ever administered, because the state had some federal money through HUD, and this was funding that was supposed to go to housing, and had all the restrictions that you would have if you were trying to fill out a mortgage under HUD, and with the whole 51% low to moderate income requirement. So we took this and had to Frankenstein it into a job training program, and the MEDC had us do it. It was done in Oakland County and also done in the UP. So we weren't the only ones doing it. Grant funding was provided. We pledged to train at least 200 people, and as we started off, we would go to companies and get them to sign up for the training. But the problem was that for everybody trained, they had to provide their W-2, provide a 1040, and a photocopy of the driver's license, because we had to be able to prove to HUD that 51% of them were below the low to moderate income line. So we worked on this very hard. This was the toughest grant program we've ever done. And we have done our last training. We are finalizing our report to the state. That'll be going in the next couple of weeks. And I do want to say here that, we had a few partners step up. The training institutions were Mid-Michigan College and Delta College, but Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works was an outstanding partner. And they came forward when we realized that we were at about 80-20 on the low to moderate income, meaning 20% below and 80% above, because that's what we were running into in the companies. They stepped up, worked with Kristen. We developed a plan, and they were able to help us get to, right now we're at 54%. We just went through the numbers and we're at 54%. We needed to be at 51. So kudos to Kristen and her team. We could not have done it without them. I'm just gonna be honest with you. We could not have done it without them. So that was a great partnership, and we were able to get to our goal. Next couple pages, you can see the new map with the 2 additional counties, and we'll just talk a little bit about that. Pages 17 and 18, these are some of the partners that we work with. Tony Fox from the SBDC, Greg Lamar from Saginaw Future, Casey Zenner from Greater Gratiot, Liz Conway from the Mount Pleasant Chamber, all made comments. And we continue to work closely with all of them, because it is a teamwork. You can see our team there pictured with Quentin Messer in the middle, standing next to me. He's the president CEO of the MEDC and with the state. 19 and 20, you can see just a few little blurbs on some of the other projects that year. We were able to leverage that $900,000 grant for the Ideal Theater to be completely rehabbed. And again, that's a placemaking thing. If you haven't been there, sometime go check it out. It's really beautiful what they've done. You guys know that I'm a Star Wars fan, so we photoshopped in Return of the Jedi there. And then pages 21 and 22. These are our sponsors in our party. Just so you know how we're funded. Again, we once in a while we'll have a grant program where we get a modest amount from the state, but the majority of the grants that we administer, we don't get any admin. We just do it as a service. So really, our sponsors and our partners, they make or break us. I mean, that's where our funding comes from. And our sponsors are responsible for about 30% of our funding, and the partners for about 70%. Isabella County is a critical partner. We couldn't do what we do without all of you. And you can see on the next page there, our executive directors and our board, and Nicole is a member of our board, and Jerry is the alternate, and they both attend. And we're very happy to have Isabella County represented on our board. So that's sort of just a quick overview of some of the things that we've been working on. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Yes, sir.
Not a question. It's just last night at our special meeting, the board acted to approve a resolution in ballot language to seek a $2.5 million general operating levy. And this is something we need to educate the public in a very short period of time. I know you have some really high leaders on the
Sure.
board. If there's any way you could help get the message out in conjunction with communication with our administration,
Sure.
Nicole, and it'd be very grateful. This is important. Used to be on the county board of commissioners when I was Parks and Recreation Director here, so you know how vital I believe county government is to economic development and stability in our community.
Sure. Happy to do it. So when is the election on this?
February the 27th.
So our next board meeting is in third Tuesday of January, so we could talk about it then. But happy to work with Nicole and do some other things on top of that to help promote that. So be willing to do that. Absolutely.
The only other thing I want to mention, I don't think this is a secret anymore. Isabella Bank and Trust, which has been where you've been housed for, I don't know how many years,
Yes.
they have an opportunity to sell the building.
Yes.
So it kind of displaces MMDC.
Right.
But they came up with a very sweetheart package for just around the corner at 111, is it University?
South University.
South University, a facility that when it's all said and done, MMDC will have a permanent home where they own the property.
Yes. So and thank you for saying that, Jerry. So as I mentioned before, we began in 81 and we're in that building until about 2007. And that's when the MMDC moved into where we've currently been located in the old Isabella Executive Office building. Initially, the chamber and the CVB were also there, but they ultimately moved out. And the bank was partly using that for a number of years until more recently. And but that building has been sold. And then around the corner, as you said, 111 South University, where we used to be, we're going back. And so the board has approved that. The bank board has approved that. And so we'll be signing all the paperwork, and it is a tremendous deal for us. And so we will own that building, which I think is going to be great for us going forward. And most cases, I don't know very many economic development organizations around the state that actually own the building that they're in. So that's going to be a big plus for us to have that and be, secure for the future. So we plan to stay there for many years to come. I won't be there forever, but my successor will be. But I will definitely be there for a couple more years. So, definitely going to be staying on.
Great.
But thanks
Any
for
other-
mentioning that.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I might be coming back up when we have the other discussion, okay?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move right into committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item is to consider ratifying and placing on file the invoice list dated November 17th, 2023 in the amount of $282,402.41. The invoice list dated November 24th, 2023 in the amount of $549,181.26. In the adjustment list dated November 30th, 2023. We'll move to the first list. And just for the benefit of people that maybe haven't been into previous meetings, these bills they come from our departments and offices, are reviewed at that level, sent to administration, reviewed again, sent off to committees, Finance Administration Committee for review. Finally, they get brought to the floor at the work session for just general discussion review by all, if there's any questions. And then finally, they get passed in our regular meeting. So there's plenty of eyes that get on the bills to make sure everything is up and there's never been any problem. But this is the work session where we have the best chance to ask our questions. So on the November 17th, what we usually find are lists of bills that are very customary because we have contracts with outside providers for various services. We have our utility bills, but in this, we kind of focus on those bills that are over $5,000. In our own time, we can look at the background bills that fall under that. If we have any questions, and bring them up tonight too. But in this first list, the only thing I see that we have is our first payment, 50% for the wage classification compensation study that I'm very pleased to see that be ongoing. This is something that's important to our staff, and like to be pleased to have this start. And then I see we have another tax tribunal lowered value for one client in the amount of 41,000. So we are seeing more and more of these where businesses are asking for reduction in taxes based on various criteria, which once that happens, we make those payments back to that individual, and we have to adjust the tax rolls from the people that benefit from those dollars. But other than that, I didn't have any other questions on that first list. Anybody else have questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the November 24th list. And that we do have a significant amount of $351,400 to Johnson Controls. Johnson Controls came in and did a study to take a look at our energy use and our physical plant to see what improvements we could make. And I think one thing we gained from that, which is, I don't know if I can call it a positive, I guess it's a positive, but we did locate asbestos in our administration building, which really threw us in a tailspin. So we would not have discovered that without doing the study. We did not decide to go ahead with contracting with Johnson Controls, thinking that we can do some of these things for a lesser dollar amount, but we have all the data and background information to know what we need to do and can do those as we have the funds available in the future. And thanks to the study, again, we are addressing the asbestos issue in the administration building. So it's a significant cost, but it was money well spent. The business information systems, I think those are ARPA monies. Is that correct? So we're continue to make electronic technical upgrades for the trial court. Hearing room upgrades so that I think that this will allow more, rather than having face-to-face sessions, it can be done electronically, which I think is important. Only thing other is King Media. It's a smaller amount, $9,000, but that's a state grant that allows the Veterans Affairs to promoted services to the veterans of the county. There's quite a few veterans in the county, and a lot of them don't know about our Veterans Affairs Office. And this is one way to get that message out that you should come in and seek whatever guidance you might want to ask about, or seek whatever benefits you might have as a veteran. Are there any other questions or comments on the November 24th list? Then we'll move on to the adjustment list, which I thought I had it here. Well, I don't have it in front of me. Oh, thank you. Sure I do.
Okay.
The adjustment lists are those payments that hadn't been identified previously to tonight's meeting. Well, we do get an email in advance so we can take a look at them, but they're adjustments to the two prior lists of invoices that have changed. They're either addition because we pay some bills early to get a discount, or we pay some bills early to avoid a late penalty fee. And sometimes there's smaller amounts of dollars because we have to remove sales tax that hadn't been discovered earlier, or some other error or omission from one of the invoices that are listed. So on this, I see nothing rises to anything that I think we should be concerned about. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move this then to tonight's meeting. I'll find money. I know they have it.
Item 2 is to consider approving the concept of transferring fiduciary responsibility over Great Lakes Bay, Michigan Works to Isabella County. We have with us tonight Chief Executive Officer, Interim Chief Executive Officer Kristen Wenzel, Mr. Ray Ogden. I think we have Mr. Eric Rodriguez. There you go.
Thank you, Nicole.
And Mr. James McBride.
Thank you.
Thanks. Getting situated, I'd just like to point out to the other commissioners that Administrator Frost and myself have been meeting regularly with the folks from Michigan Works, having discussions about this, very fruitful discussions. And I just want to mention to all of you that in light of all of these conversations that we have had, I strongly believe that we should allow them to move to Isabella County, allow us to be the fiduciary for Michigan Works. I think it would be a very real benefit to us in a lot of different ways. So with that, Madam Frost, is there anything you wanted to add before we turn it over to them?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. I want to, in addition to myself, I want to introduce Ray Ogden, who's our Chief Administrative Officer at Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. Eric Rodriguez, who I'm sure you already know, but he also serves as our Workforce Development Board Chair. And then Mr. McBride, who is a great partner and also may have some remarks in support of our request. So before you, I've prepared a presentation that I'll go through with you. And then I have one of the slides I've provided to you in a larger format just for easier reading. So we can begin. And what we are going to present to you is the impact that the legacy costs that we're currently being charged are having, the impact they're having on our operations, and the reason that we're bringing this request to you. So we're going to go over how the expenses have increased over the last 11 years, what our current expenses are, the impact on our staffing levels and on our operations, cost comparison of retiree pension and healthcare, and then what the impact of changing fiscal agents will have on us, and finally to request your support. So moving on to slide 4, which is the handout that we've also supplied you. This provides a breakdown of the legacy costs that we've been charged and how they've increased since 2012 as a baseline year. As a percent, they've increased 36% over 2012 numbers, and the dollar almost doubled while losing 3.7 FTEs since 2012. To distill all of the data on this sheet, it boils down to those two primary factors. So I don't want to rush you, but when you're ready to go on to slide 5. The chart, all of the subsequent charts are based on this spreadsheet that we've presented to you. This chart on slide 5 compares the total legacy cost as a percentage of our approved administrative budget. You can see the creep of how much our budget has been dedicated to legacy costs, peaking at 35% in 2021. We did see a slight decrease in 2022, but that was the same year that we had to reduce staff. Yep. So the impact, we're still experiencing increased costs, even though we've made necessary reductions to staff. The next slide 6, shows the categories that make up the legacy costs that were charged and their percentage of our total administration budget. The largest shares are pension and indirect costs assessed to Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works by Saginaw County. We expect, based on conversations that we've had with Nicole and Commissioner Embry, the pension costs, should we be successful in moving over to Isabella County, will be significantly reduced. It's a difference in the way the charges are calculated, and we'll share that comparison in a subsequent slide. Indirect charges for Isabella County services to Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works are expected to be comparable. So going on to slide 7, what's important to take away from this slide is the top line. Our expenses per full-time employee assessed by Saginaw County have increased over the base year of 2012 over 250%, while the total legacy costs have increased 198%. I want to point out that the legacy costs are not representative of salary of administrative staff members. Those are charges that are assessed for services provided by the county. The cost of doing business with Saginaw County is no longer affordable or sustainable. The next slide, slide 8, shares our current expenses for this fiscal year, the current fiscal year. While the 30% cost is a slight decrease from the previous year, as we've mentioned already, the elimination of 2.75 full-time employees a year ago was an action that we were forced to take due to limited funding streams. Moving on to slide 11. As late as program year 2021, we had 0.75 full-time employees. Current staffing level on paper is 11 full-time employees. 2 of those positions are vacant. It's important to note that even with the reduction of the full-time employee count, the county charges continue to climb. Additionally, in 2021, our organization operated 28 funded programs. For the program year that ended this September of 2023, we operated 34 funded programs, of which many are funded by more than one funding stream, which adds another layer of oversight. So for the same period, we also operated 5 Michigan Works one-stop centers, our own 5-county data network, fiscal compliance, marketing and outreach, and board support. The impact on staff, lowering the staffing levels matched to a greater workload is an employee burnout, greater use of personal time, and overall lowering of morale. If this continues, we're going to bleed experienced staff. Moving on to slide 12. This goes over the cost comparison. Indirect charges are simply that, the cost of doing business, and we expect those costs to be comparable should we move to Isabella County. Where we anticipate realizing some savings is in pension and healthcare and in the difference in how those charges are assessed. Saginaw County charges a percentage of all pension and retiree healthcare across all county departments for all retirees, not those that provide service by department. That is a distinction that I want to point out for Isabella County. They charge by department where they retired from. And we anticipate that to be a significant savings for our organization. So in fact, that savings is with current year charges is calculated to be $383,000, which would help us restore our staffing levels at the administration level and provide the necessary level of operational oversight so that we can ensure that the quality of our programs isn't compromised. I've gone through all of this rather quickly. Do any of you have any questions on any of the materials that I've presented? Yes.
Well, I know in committee discussion, your organization covers all the direct costs.
Correct. That's where you're right. I neglected to
Yes.
mention that in my
Assuming any of
remarks.
those direct costs.
Yes.
We are getting some indirect costs, but at a lesser cost to Michigan Works than what you're paying right now.
Right.
For Saginaw. I did ask Administrator Frost whether or not we had sufficient capacity, existing capacity to take on the additional workload, because we're going to have to do payroll and pay bills and do those kind of things without having to increase our own staffing levels, and was assured that we did have that capacity. So final question, I'm just kind of bringing these on because they weren't mentioned on the floor. It doesn't look like we have a whole lot of risk in bringing on be a good partner. The monies that you get, you primarily get those from the state,
They're federal funds
federal funds?
that flow through the state
Okay,
and are funneled down to the local Michigan Works agencies for program delivery.
so then those payments then get, the direct costs just get billed, or do we?
So Isabella County would receive those funds and use those funds to pay our bills. So to the first question that you raised or point you made, yes, we pay all of our own operational expenses. There wouldn't be an additional cost to the county for assuming responsibility for the fiscal oversight that we're requesting.
Okay, and your cash flow is such that the payment of outstanding or bills would be pretty well quickly reimbursed?
Yes.
Because I know sometimes we have cash flow issues ourselves, and we want to make sure that we're not adding to that burden.
We have it. Ray can better to that because he's the keeper of all of that information and make sure that all of the funding that we do receive is allocated properly and we're spending the right money on the right programs and services. So do you have anything you want to?
The process, we've got our own board, and they are actually recipient of the funds from the state. And we get permission then from the state. And weekly, we do a cash request to the state electronically. Right now, it goes to Saginaw County's deposit accounts from the state. We order it to Saginaw County, and we order that on a weekly basis. There's usually no cash issue at all.
It doesn't seem like we have any kind of downer on this. It looks like something we can do and should do. I think it'd be a good partnership. And I know I drive by your facility on Broadway. It's only probably a couple miles from my home, and provide good services to our residents.
I'd like, Eric, if you have comments on how you think this would work well for us and for the people in our community, as well as the surrounding communities that we serve.
Thank you, Commissioner Embry. And yes, thank you for your time tonight, commissioners. Really, as the workforce development chair, in my mind, this is a move that maximizes the potential. It's not sustainable any longer for Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works to operate at its current level to Saginaw County. It's depriving the other counties in Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works the resources for our employers and our job seekers. And this is an opportunity to put that close to $400,000 back into the hands of the organization to get them fully staffed. I will add that both Kristen Ray and their team do a phenomenal job of workforce development in our region. They are truly an asset to have, and for us to be able to give them the resources to be fully staffed, to make sure that we're looking at both employers and job seekers is where our focus should be. Isabella County can help us make that a reality. So I appreciate your consideration. It is very impactful, and this request does not come lightly to the commissioners this evening.
Mr. McBride, I'd like to hear from you as well.
Thank you. As I was saying earlier in my remarks, when we were working on the RTIG program, Kristen and her team stepped up and really did an amazing job helping us get through that process. And we really owe it to her we were able to get to that over 51% low to moderate income. But I want to mention that because of the new counties we actually work with 3 different Michigan Works organizations. So we have Great Lakes Bay, who is here tonight. We have Region 7B, which covers Clare and Gladwin. And we have Michigan, the Region 4 North, which covers Osceola. And I will just say, I mean, I don't want to, diminish the work the other ones do, but far and away, we've had the best experience working with Kristen and her team with Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. So I strongly support this move, you guys. I mean, saving almost $400,000 is going to be have a tremendous impact. I mean, they're already doing a fantastic job with the lower funds. Give them that extra money, and what they're going to be able to do with that will, I think, be great. And the synergy that we'll have here in Isabella County by having them housed here, I mean, I can't say enough how much that's going to help us. And so with our businesses throughout the county here, you're going to see a benefit from this. So I would strongly recommend this.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. And I would like for Madam Frost to speak on this because I know she and I have been having very intense, involved discussions about this. So I'd like to hear your input as well.
Thrilled to see this, to get to this to this point. It seems like we've been discussing it for some time. I do want to say that Saginaw County isn't doing anything wrong.
Yes.
Right. I do want to say their allocation method is legitimate. It's the way they do business. It's and it works for them. It's not working for Michigan Works. Right. So I do want to point that out. Our allocation method is a lot more favorable to Michigan Works. They pay their own way, right? They are grant funded, and those grants pay for those expenses, and there's not a mechanism for those grants really to pay the legacy costs. These are true costs from Saginaw County, and the grants are able to cover them, but they're in a really good financial position because they're covering extra costs right now, if you will, that they won't be. We've met with MERS. We know our allocation method, and we know that it's going to be better for Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. So we're thrilled to offer this. You understand our annual cost allocation plan that we have to perform, and I'm happy to say the same folks that do that plan for us do it for Saginaw County. We've been in conversations, and so we know approximately what that will bring in. You're probably wondering, it's roughly $200,000 a year in indirect costs. So that will be an increase to general fund revenues for Isabella County. That's the silver lining for us here at this table. We know what we're trying to do. We know we're trying to increase revenues and cut expenditures. This is a fantastic way to do that. And these folks sitting here, like I said in committee, I don't know the others of the 11. Maybe it's only 9 right now that are filled, but bringing these people under the county umbrella is going to level us up. These are fine folks that I've just really enjoyed working with them, and this is such a need, and it's really going to level us up. So open arms. I sure hope the board approves this tonight.
Commissioners, questions for the group or?
Not a question, but just a comment, but this sounds like a great opportunity for Isabella County. If we can help Michigan Works put another $400,000 into job training, that helps all of us. That helps our community. And I appreciate Administrator Frost and Commissioner Embry kind of looking at this with an open mind and bringing it forward.
Just one last comment. I know my initial conversations with Kristen and Ray, we talked about the people who are served by Michigan Works, and we talked about the people who provide that service. In the current scenario, those two groups are suffering. They're paying the price for, like you said, there's nothing wrong with their methodology. That's just the way they do business. But the people that are most important in this, all of this, are the people who are being served and the people who are serving them, and they can't do the job as well as they could. And by coming here, it becomes a win, 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 right down the line. So that's why I'm very much in support of this move.
I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
it might be worthwhile to talk about, Kristen, if you could, what happens after tonight? Like if the board were to approve this, that doesn't mean Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works gets to come under our fiduciary responsibilities.
So our ask is that this become effective October 1 of 2024 to coincide with our joint fiscal cycles. There is a process that has to be followed. If we obtain approval tonight, we take this same request to every other county, because Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works is technically a consortium of governments under Public Act 7. And so we are, all of the counties have to support this request. We already have taken that request to a couple of the counties and are on the schedules, should we, in anticipation of a successful vote this evening. Once all of those counties have received this very same presentation and the same requesting their support as is required by our interlocal agreement, then in February, we take it to our board. And the board has to then vote in support of this change. And then the wheels really start to turn. So, and then we have, that allows us several months to make sure that we're able to put the proper systems in place for a smooth transition.
So you're talking about February of 2024.
Yes,
So it's a quick timeline.
it is. It's aggressive, but we have been, as Nicole and Chairman or Commissioner Embry have mentioned, we've had previous conversations and Ray has done a lot of work, how do we do this correctly, efficiently, with the least amount of additional burden to our staff.
Great.
And just out of curiosity, I feel like I should know this, but the other counties that are in Michigan?
A fair question. I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. Bay, Gratiot, Midland, and Saginaw.
Yes, sir.
All the counties have to agree to the thing. If one county does not, then it doesn't go through.
Correct. We're doing our work and our other board chairman, we have two boards, an elected official board and a workforce development board. Eric chairs the workforce development board. Vaughn Begic is the chair of our elected official board. He had a conflict with a commission meeting of his own this evening, which is why he's not here. So, yes.
I would just add to that, the team has been very proactive in anticipating this opportunity. So to echo Kristen's thoughts, we have been working very closely with the fellow board members on both sides to make sure that they're aware of what the ask may be, to understand the importance of the timeline, and to make sure that we can make that a reality if all parts are moving. So we are very confident, and I've availed myself, and as has Vaughn, to make sure that we're presenting to these other counties in full support if we are given that opportunity this evening.
And likewise, I have offered up my support and I'd gladly go on the road with them as well, to let the counties out there that we haven't reached out to yet, I haven't met with, that we are in full support, and we'd very much like for them to come on board here. So, any other questions, commissioners? Hearing none, thank you very much, folks, for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it very, very much. We will move this item to our regular board meeting.
All right, thank you. Our next item is consider approving the mediation service agreement between Isabella County on behalf of the Isabella County Trial Court and Resolution Service Center of Central Michigan for the period of October 1, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. We have a representative from the center on.
There's Miss Lisa.
I do. Hello, my name is Lisa Bonney. I'm the Director for Resolution Services Center. I want to just take this opportunity to answer any questions that you may have about this proposal. My organization has been working hand in hand with the courts for probably 7 or 8 years. This proposal is to help cover our costs for all the small claims and landlord tenant work that we are doing. We are finding out that this is kind of a win-win-win for our organization, the courts, but also the people that are bringing these cases to the courts, that we're able to get to them, get their issue heard usually within 30 days. And when we look back at our numbers from 2022, we did about 1,100 cases, and about 85% of those were either mediated or taken off the court's docket. So we really appreciate your commissioner's proposal to help fund these services so we can continue to do these at the same level as we've been doing this past year or so.
Thank you. Over my lifetime, I've had 2 personal small claims. That won one, lost one. Never had an opportunity to bring it to any kind of negotiated review. But I'm looking at, this is only going to cost $15,000 and it's going to save a whole amount of time, because from the 2 that I personally went through, I knew it took a lot of time on the part of the court to hear the thing. So, you know, I think this is a very good bargain for the county and for its residents. The fees charged for small claims, they don't charge it, they don't change at all. Whatever the sets, there's no additional fees to go through mediation.
Correct. And these services we provide to the court are at no charge.
Great service, Administrator Frost.
Thank you, sir. I would just add, Court Administrator Carrie Curtis was not able to be here tonight, but she did speak favorably to this agreement at committee, would echo, I think, Commissioner Jelezinski's comments. So I just wanted to make sure and mention that. Judge Janes is a party to the agreement, and the courts have vetted the language and are in agreement with that.
Any other questions or comments on the proposal? Hearing none, we'll move this then for consideration at tonight's regular meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. With money. Item number 4, consider approving the fiscal year 2023 audit engagement letter with Ryman and Associated change order in the amount of $5,500. Authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. This change order centers around additional work that's going to have to be provided by Ryman. And since the original agreement, there were 2 things that came into play. GASB 87, which deals with leases, and GASB 96, which deals with the subscription-based information technology arrangement standards. We had, was it Mr. Ryman?
Doug Dieter.
Doug Dieter was here at committee, and he explained that the additional work involved with adequately dealing with these 2 new standards required additional work on his part, and obviously necessitated the $5,500 increase. Madam Frost, was there any other?
I would just say, I think you've explained it well, but I think, you know, when we originally in 2020 extended our audit engagement for 5 years, you know, based on the letter of extension that they sent us, and it was vetted through the board, these standards weren't in place when Raymond bid on our doing our audit. So fair's fair. It's been an extra workload on them. Governmental Accounting Standards Board did implement the leases. They're implementing the subscription-based IT arrangements this year. So it's just a lot more, a lot more that they have to go through, a lot more information they have to gather, a lot more information they have to report on. So it's a valid ask. And then the other piece of it, I would point out, is the audit engagement letter. Every year, very dutifully, the administrator controller receives the audit engagement letter and does what they're told and makes copies or forwards the email to the board, because it's full of information that the Board of Commissioners is supposed to receive and go through for the audit. In the administrator controller, last year I signed it, but with this change order this year, I sent everything to Attorney Perone to talk it through. And he suggested that the audit engagement letter be brought to the board for consideration and approval in addition to the change order, and Chairman Hope will be asked to sign that as well. So we're just kind of changing things going forward, best practice. There are things that management needs to understand in that too. So we're kind of both signatories, but just letting you know, that's a little change going forward.
Thank you, Administrator Frost, for the clarification. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll move this item to our regular board meeting this evening.
Next item, discussion regarding Isabella County Sheriff's Office and correctional facility funding. I don't really have a lot to bring up, but I do know we have a new visual chart that charts our change order costs and contract and payments over time. I don't know if everybody got a copy of that.
Oh, I can certainly send it out if you think that would be valuable to the board.
I thought it was very,
Is a very good way of looking at those charges and where we are at any particular moment in time. But I have nothing else to add to that, this item.
and I was not able to make the contractor meetings, so unfortunately, I don't have any update of my own unless the sheriff would like to speak to that.
Please, Sheriff.
Where we are at there. Nothing run of the mill. Okay, very good, sir. Moving along.
We did have a tour of the building. I was there. And we did get a tour of the facility, and the thing is going along. In fact, the weather was nice and the crane was working. They were putting the roof on that last section, which
Section
would
C.
be the central area. And I had a chance to walk into Sheriff Main's next office. He's got a power office with windows in 2 different directions. So very nice. And the work is moving along. And I think it's going to be a very good facility to serve the residents for many, many years in the future.
It for us then. For that
This
one.
will not move on.
Nope. And then the last one is our discussion regarding the Isabella County Administration Building asbestos removal, cleaning and rebuilding expenses. I want to start off. I did have a chance to go out to the building, the new offices, and got a tour from Commissioner Willoughby. And it was a very, very interesting tour. To go from the administration building to this building, it is downsizing, but I felt like, hey, they felt like it would work. I had just good comments all around from the people that I ran into. That we're gonna make this work, and I need to commend Madam Frost and Director, I forgot his name,
Griffiths.
Mr. Griffiths, yeah, and for them to, and Madam Clerk, oh man, oh.
And one
more down.
One more down.
Oh, there she's hiding back there.
Yeah.
Yes. They both, everyone has done a fantastic job in procuring this location for our temporary offices. Looking forward to getting in there and seeing how this works out while we're taking care of the administration building. Yes, sir.
Maybe more comments from Chairman Hope and Administrator Frost, but we also had a group of individuals that walked through the current administration building to kind of eyeball it to see what things might be necessary for hiring an architect. And the one thing I came away with is how over the years, the changes of that building with walls that were not original to the original construction, how the areas came about, chopped up, and thinking that perhaps this is not the best way to, if we're going to use this building for another 30 or 40 years, after we're done, to have this same thing. And I know we don't want to move a lot of walls because that's costly, but I think that this is something that needs to be considered to make sure what the product we end up with is something that's going to serve our services, our taxpayers and employees well into the future.
Yep, I was amazed as well, with how many changes had taken place over the years. And you said yourself, you were in a certain office and then you moved over to this office, and the departments that have moved from one spot to another, to me was kind of amazing. And the court was actually in there at one time. Believe it or not, but, interesting building. I think when this is all done and we move back in there, it'll be a much nicer, brighter building. We talked about removing all those wood panels that cover the windows. That building from the outside, it's all windows. In the inside, you only see couple, because most of them are covered up with big wood panels. And those should come off anyway, because we really don't know what's behind those. And we don't know if there's any condensation issues under those. They really need to come off anyway. And really brighten up that space. We can add window tint if it's too bright or too hot. Window shades, things like that. But so yeah, I think eventually when it's all said and done, and of course, I think the architect will need to do an assessment of the HVAC system and possibly the electrical system. But we do have, I think, a pretty good handle on what we need the architect to do and what we can do ourselves. So.
I think I would just add, that we should be out of the county building this week. That's the plan, and that's the rush, right? Getting out so the abatement activities can begin on a widespread scale. We are at 510 West Pickard in the office building, going from about a 27,000 square foot building to about a 6,000 square foot office space. So Commissioner Embry is right. No, it's not ideal for anyone, but we're going to make it work. It's temporary. We're Team Isabella, and you cannot keep these people from serving. We are still trying to find and secure a location for a prosecuting attorney's office. The location will not work for him, and it will not work for the 9-day early voting. So we're close, and within a few days should have those leases for chairman to sign, all within budget that the board has set. So that's pretty exciting.
And the RFP for architectural services
Should be out this Friday.
Yeah. Excellent.
And my understanding, you'll be working with office elected officials and department heads to determine, is there optimum use of that space once we reoccupy it? Their input is very important.
Mm-hmm. The priority right now, obviously getting out of the county building, getting into our new temporary spaces. And of course, as we work with floor plans and then start to move in or start to consider the spaces more or visualize them more, we're finding that this can't go there, or we can't be here, or what. So we are having another department head meeting tomorrow afternoon to talk with them about the current situations, but then can't wait. Probably first of the year, really hard focusing on the county building and what that looks like moving back in. What are the smart things to change while we have one side of every interior wall off and all the floors and the ceilings, right?
Right, trying to be smart and also fiscally responsible about how we put that building back together. Director Schumacher made a comment about some of the plumbing is at risk of failure. So perfect time to address things like that, so that we don't have problems down the road.
Vice Chairman.
I just wanted to share, I went back in my memory more than 20 years ago when Parks and Recreation was in the office currently was occupied by IT. And myself, my secretary, and an intern was in there, 3 desks. You can imagine how crowded that was. To fit it in, my secretary's desk was nose to nose with mine. That really spooked her out. We were talking one day and I leaned back in my chair and I went over, tipped over the 50% to balance, and I decided to fall back, and I'm wailing my hand. I hit the wall and just came forward again. So that memory came back to me.
Do we have any other conversation, any other comments? Tonight, so
And with that, that completes the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, commissioners. We don't have any business under Criminal Justice and County Affairs, so that'll bring us to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Chair, our first item is consider approving the grant agreement accepting terms of the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation for the 2024 Art from Our Park event funds in the amount of $3,000 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. We have Alexis Hanson here to break this down for us. Hi, Alexis.
Hi. So this is a grant that was awarded to our department by the Community Foundation to fund the 2024 Art from Our Park event. This was a kind of change from the norm in where the funding from this event came from. And that was because of the timing of the transition of staff in the department. And so the Community Foundation, is stepping up in a huge way and helping us out with funding so that we can still have the event in 2024 and, continue that tradition and host that event for the community without having an impact on our Parks Fund budget. And so it's a very straightforward grant, $3,000 in funding for the event. And we just need to get that approval and signature on the grant agreement for the Community Foundation in order for us to move forward and, for them to process that grant award. Any questions?
Just a comment. That'll be the 17th year in a row, right?
Yes. 17th year.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, we'll put this on the agenda for our next meeting in a little while.
Second item, consider approving the Beer Marquette Rail Trail Improvement Project Budget Amendment number 2024-02 and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So again, hopefully a fairly straightforward request. The Parks Department began in fiscal year 2023 to make improvements on the Pere Marquette Rail Trail. $20,000 was approved in the 2023 budget. And because of a variety of factors of these sort of projects, some being weather related delays, some just being administrative tasks taking longer than expected, projects were delayed. And so work on some of the phases of this plan were not completed in time to be paid for in the fiscal year 2023 budget. So basically, just under $11,000 of what was budgeted for 2023 was spent. And so that leaves the remainder of the project with an expense of right around the $9,000. And so we are asking for a budget amendment to increase the fiscal year 2024 budget to be able to finish this project. We're not asking to add any more funds to the project. We're just asking that we're able to spend the $9,000 that we weren't able to spend in 23. The impact is minimal in the sense that, there's ample funding for this. We were planning on spending it last year. And then also notable, the incredible staff in the Parks and Rec department was able to secure additional funding through grants and donations to expand the scope of the project without increasing the expense from the Parks Fund. And so I just think this is a really worthwhile endeavor, getting the trail kind of up to matching the aesthetic of what Midland County kind of keeps as a standard for their trail maintenance. And it's going to make it a lot easier on our staff to get on a regular maintenance schedule moving forward. So that's kind of a bit about the project. I'm sure there's more I could go on about, but I'll just kind of leave it at that unless there are questions.
Okay, thank you. The big thing is now it's gonna match up with the other counties. It's just gonna be so much better in designing.
Great, thanks.
Okay, all set?
Yep.
Okay, our next item is consider approving the thank you, Alexis. Approving the memorandum of agreement between Region 7 Area Agency on Aging in Isabella County for the evidence-based Tai Chi for Arthritis Program in the amount of $3,816 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Jennifer Crawford here, the Director of Commission on Aging.
Hello there. So for several years, we've been fortunate to receive this funding. This is Title III funding from the Older Americans Act, which can be used towards evidence-based programming, and our Tai Chi program that we provide here. We have a couple different classes twice a week, is considered one of those evidence-based programs. So we are able to be reimbursed for a portion of the cost that we incur for that program. And so we're able to bring in just over $3,800 this fiscal year to provide a program that we're already providing. That's an awesome thing that is really popular and really fun here at the Commission on Aging.
Any questions or go ahead, Commissioner Childers.
I did arrive for the meeting early today and I was watching the cement truck filling up the forms out there. It's exciting to see the new pavilion. And now I see the blocks are out there. So
Yes,
looks like you may have a standing structure before we get into the hard
Yeah.
winter.
they said their goal is to have it framed in. So before the winter,
Nice.
and then they'll just finish it in the spring. So I was just excited to see dirt moving out there when there were flags. Now things are happening. It's even better.
Yeah, and I hear, and there's some warm weather coming too.
Good. Good. Mhm.
Any other questions or comments on this?
Just last night coming into the meeting that we had, I see all the people in here doing all the little things that they do, the dancing and the exercise. Wonderful.
Yes. Yes, this is a very active facility. I mean, I think that's been a nice thing. Having our new roommates and having other people in the facility over the last few years, I think it has been really nice because people have been able to see like really what goes on out here. I don't think you really have an idea until you see it. I had no idea until I became a part of it. So it's so active and there's a lot of fun things happening. We have a blast. It's really great. Mhm.
And into my old golf partner. And I just didn't realize he is down here dancing and.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just say quick, today I was covering up in the front office for just an hour. And just in that time frame, we had one of our volunteers at the front desk. She loves to show our building off. And during that time, she gave 2 separate tours of people that just came up and just wanted to know what happens out here. And so it's so great. Yeah.
Okay, then that will be on our agenda at our regular meeting tonight.
Okay, our next item, consider approving the grant agreement between Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation and Isabel County for durable medical equipment in the amount of $6,000 for the period of October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024, and authorize the board chair to sign this.
So this item and the next one are, again, just another great example of the amazing partnerships we have with CMU. This is a direct result of the grant writing class that we've been working with. And so they have written this grant and the next one that we'll talk about. One of our programs we have here is our durable medical equipment program. And with that, we take in gently used medical equipment, walkers, or shower chairs, anything you can think of, basically. And then we loan it back out to individuals who need it. So if you're having surgery or if you have something going on, let us know, because a lot of times we have a lot of different equipment in there that we just loan out for free. And then we ask people just to return it when they're done with it, because it's expensive and not all insurances cover the different types of equipment. And so with this, you never know what we're going to have in that room at any given time, because we never know what's coming in and then what goes out on a daily basis. But this will allow us to have some funding to purchase some newer equipment if we need to replace some, or if someone has a need that we can help fill.
Throw a thank out there to CMU, and it's just a great program that they do, and allow us to get extra money. Thanks for that. Any other questions? That being said, we'll move this on to tonight.
Okay, our next item. Consider approving the Personal Emergency Response Systems Peers, a grant agreement between Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation and Isabella County in the amount of $2,235.40 for the period October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
So this grant would allow us to help individuals secure the personal emergency response systems, or PERS units, which would be like the Guardian alarm, the device that people are able to wear if they fall and they can push it and that gets help to them. We do have some funding that received from Region 7 Area Agency on Aging, and it's just while funds are available, we're able to get different clients who meet different guidelines approved for this program, and then we help secure that, and those costs are reimbursed on a monthly basis or quarterly when they get those bills. But this would allow us to help those who maybe wouldn't qualify for that programming and still could use some help securing those devices. Certainly is one of those things that gives peace of mind to family when they have an older adult living in their home, especially alone, to know that they have something like this where they can get help and if they're not able to make a call.
Yeah, these are really potentially life-saving
Absolutely.
devices. I'm sure many people can use them in the community.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments on that? Seeing and hearing none, that will be moved to our next meeting this evening.
Thank you.
Jennifer. That concludes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, commissioners. And we have nothing under intergovernmental affairs, no administrator controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. Brings us down to general public comments. Is there anyone for general public comment?
Connie Lee Bills, Union Township. I just want to let you guys know that the state of Michigan Election Commission has decided that precincts now can have up to 5,000 or 4,995 or something like that voters. So we're going to change it to 2 precincts in Union Township. So it's going to make things a little more efficient for Clerk Cody. And other than that, I got really nothing to report, but hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for general public comment? I don't see any hands raised online. So with that, we'll move right into announcements. Commissioners, Commissioner Marino.
Yeah. I'd just like to say Dr. David Ling had a big positive and lasting impact on me and our entire community through his leadership and example. He will leave big shoes to fill. He was a CMU University professor, a Democratic county chair, a long-serving Isabella County commissioner, serving as chair for a long time. He was a longtime friend and mentor to me and many others. Before my time on the boards of commissioners, I worked with him on social justice issues. And when I was first elected to the board, I got to see and learn from David's deep understanding how the county is organized and how to work it, and how we as commissioners work together to successfully deal with all the challenges that arise seemingly out of nowhere sometimes, as we've experienced lately. David's intelligence, wisdom, sense of humor, way with words made him a great person to work with. And both he and his wife Kathy were dedicated greatly to this community. My condolences go out to her and his family.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to mention too, and I first served on the board in 2014, and when I came on, we had 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, but we had a Republican chair, and that just was astounding. What I learned as the years went on is that Commissioner Ling and Commissioner Green, really set a tone for this board to, yeah, you're going to run in a political party, but once you get voted in, you are no longer representing that party. You're representing the 67,000 residents of this county. And that has stayed with the county board this 9 years. And I really appreciate that. We still do that. We may have a Republican majority on the board right now, but we have a very capable Democratic chair. And I don't know if anybody's going to have the time to go to the visitation, but I am planning to attend the funeral mass at St. Vincent de Paul on Sunday. And if I'm the only person there, I will represent the commission and give the condolences to Kathy Ling.
Isn't it on Thursday?
On Thursday.
Did I say
Sunday.
yeah, Thursday?
Yes, sir. You can't say that too much longer now, the new guy.
But more partisanship. And thanks to Dr. Lynn and Chairman Green, I think that they've really set a precedent here that's probably unlike a lot of other legislative bodies around the state and around the country and around the world. And I have to extend my appreciation to Dr. Lynn and Chairman Green for establishing this very unique setup that we have here in Isabella County, because my entire focus was taking care of the residents of Isabella County, and with the system that they established here, I think we do a very efficient job at doing just that. So again, thank you to Dr. Lynn and Chairman Green for that.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I won't give up the floor yet. I just want to say, if anybody's worried whether or not I got any sleep last night, I think our special meeting last night where we adopted the resolution and ballot millage for the 2.5 mil request to the citizens of the county was the right thing to do. And I did get 9 hours sleep last night. It's like a load was taken off the finance chair's committee's chair's shoulders. We're going to have to give it our best shot, and we need to convince the residents that this millage is important to the services of the future services of the county. And I do appreciate the fact that we're able, after 2 years, and we weren't always in agreement, but we came down to a proposal that we could all agree on and take to the residents. The only other comment I will make is I did go to the Northern Michigan Counties Association. They set up a dam tour at Cook Hydro Dam in Oscoda. It was very interesting. And what I learned from it is consumers has, I think they said 11 dams or 13 dams. Anyhow, they have quite a few dams in western and eastern northern portion of the state that they have to make some decisions on, because they'll have to either move towards recertification, which is a 6-year process. I kind of read between the lines. What they said is that they could take the money that would be required to bring the dams up to current requirements to be safely operated, use those same dollars and generate more electricity in other ways in these hydro dams. So I'm thinking they're probably not looking at the recertification process as their number one choice, but the other options would be to find a buyer, which is going to be difficult because some of these river systems have 3 or 4 dams and they have to be coordinated, because you release water from one, you have to be able to coordinate with dams downstream. And So you're not probably going to find one buyer. You may be able to find a buyer for a system, a river system. But that's going to be deep pockets because not only do they need to take over those dams, but then they have to do the recertification and make the investment. The other option is that they decertify and tear down the dams, which is going to be quite costly because you have environmental issues that you have to protect the river ecosystem and the like. The final option is that they can sell it to a municipality. I can't imagine after Midland that any municipality wants to step into ownership of dams in this day and age. But those dams do provide economic benefit to local communities. And what I didn't know is in this recertification process, the millions of dollars that's going to cost will be a surcharge that all users of consumers electric statewide will pay. So even though you may never use those bodies of water as recreation, you'll still pay. And I think they said like $3.60 a month. So it was an interesting dam tour.
Thank you. Commissioner, any other announcements? Just to piggyback on what Vice Chairman Jelesinski said, we did start that meeting yesterday with some differences of opinion on what that resolution should look like and what that ballot proposal should look like. But we hammered those out and came to an agreement that we all supported in the end. And that kind of speaks to what the Vice Chairman was talking about on this board working together. Republicans or Democrats, we just kind of sit down and take care of the business of the county. And I will also say that David Ling will be missed by this community. What a great public servant he was. If you knew David Ling, he was a friend, I think. Any other announcements? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Jelesinski.
Support.
Been supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. We will start the regular session in about 10-15 minutes.